Capitalism famously relies on the collective actions of many individuals, all presumably making decisions based on their own rational self-interest. But what if we were much less rational than we previously thought? It has been proven that, while we might think we're making slow and deliberate choices, it is much more likely that we're actually making decisions based on cognitive biases. As humans, we are all subject to cognitive biases. A famous example is Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman's concept of loss aversion. We fear losing money much more than we get excited about saving money. In other words, we care a lot more about that $50 parking ticket than a $50 discount on a new TV. Cognitive biases fall into 4 major categories and can adversely affect every level of the organization. Let's examine how these biases have shaped the corporate response to a major modern issue, climate change. NASA climatologist James Hansen has called climate change the predominant moral issue of the 21st century. But despite solid progress in the signing of the landmark Paris Agreement in 2016, we're still not on track to reverse the damage. That's because most organizations still view climate change as an economic issue rather than a moral one. This is a cognitive bias that is holding us back. Let's take a closer look at the 4 major types of biases. The first set is perception biases, and the practice of framing falls under this category. It's no coincidence that we use the term climate change, because it frames the issue in a way that doesn't sound as severe as global warming. Unfortunately, it can also make the issue at hand seem like less of an imperative. To fight this bias, we need to take a step back to see how the very framing of an issue might be affecting our judgment. The next set is optimism biases. We tend to be overconfident about the outcomes of our choices. For instance, one popular assumption is that technology and innovation will allow us to reverse climate change at a later date. And through such speculation, we shift responsibility away from ourselves, leading to inaction in the present. To fight this bias, we need to be brutally honest and always consider the worst-case scenario. Another set of biases is called relevance biases. These can influence our understanding of the importance of an issue. Scientists predict that global temperatures could rise by as much as 2 to 5 degrees Celsius in this century. But because 2 to 5 degrees seems inconsequential, we are already primed to ignore it. To fight this bias, we need to reflect on how information anchors, like a 2-degree temperature change, might be filtered through the lens of individual perception instead of being viewed objectively. Finally, there's the set of volition biases. Broadly, these are errors in judgment that result from deferring responsibility, saying, "It's not my problem." Volition bias can come in many forms. In The Tragedy of the Commons, one company might point to the countless other polluting companies as justification for their own pollution. Deference to an authority, or to a set of existing regulations, is another form of bias. Playing by the rules is not enough if the rules themselves produce inadequate results. To fight this bias, we need to think of ourselves as the authority. What would I do if the responsibility of change was mine and mine alone? Recognizing bias is the first step in eliminating it. Effective decision-making is the basis of every successful organization, and only by seeking to overcome these biases can anyone hope to make objective, rational decisions. To learn more about cognitive biases and how they influence corporate decision-making, please read California Management Review's special issue on behavioral strategy, Volume 59, Issue Number 3.